CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Today, we're going to learn about SkillCat. You can see that on screen. They offer online accredited certification for the trades. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of the skilled trades, the skilled trades gap, all this kind of stuff. The skilled trades matter, and it's important to CMMS. It's important to CMMS Radio. And I want to learn more from Ruchir Shah, the founder and CEO of SkillCat. Ruchir, welcome to CMMS Radio.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I love having these conversations kind of soon after I meet someone and get to talk to them and learn about what they're doing. And there was something I saw online where I saw SkillCat, and then I saw something about like explore the trades. They're up in the Twin Cities area. And I was like, oh man, I got to connect with this guy and talk with him. We had a nice conversation a couple weeks back. We're finally here today. So first question out of the gate, how on earth did this all start for you? Where does it kind of start? Go back as far as you want, and then kind of bring us up to right now.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I kind of always been super passionate about education. So growing up, started a nonprofit with educational comic books, like always really passionate about education and technology and using that to teach people. And so my senior year of college, I did policy research on the BP oil spill. And training was one of the biggest issues that caused the spill. And so I built out a company right out of college, building online courses and simulations to train oil and gas workers. And so I ran that for quite a few years. We grew it, and then I went to business school at Stanford, still while kind of running the business on the side. And when I came out of school, it was COVID, and everyone in oil and gas was getting laid off. And so you had all these people on our platform who were making like six-figure salaries, amazing jobs, going from that to working at a grocery store, minimum wage jobs. So they just didn't know where else to go or how to get there. And so started researching, and you realize this has been happening in the US for the last 50 years. There's been like a 30% decline in real blue-collar income since the 70s because folks have been laid off from jobs like manufacturing or coal, and instead of reskilling and reusing those same skills elsewhere, they don't, and they're not able to go to a traditional trade school or afford leaving the workforce, and so they move into minimum wage jobs or no job at all. And so that was kind of the initial catalyst, was how do you solve that problem? And so from SkillCat, from day one, our goal has been, how do you increase both awareness and ease of access into the skilled trades for everyone? And so, yeah, when you mentioned, we've about 1,500 hours of certifications and simulation-based training on the platform, and we've trained about 300,000 people and just getting started.
Yeah, and I've gone through some of the information. I haven't, of course, seen the coursework or the certifications, myself, but we look at things like HVAC, something where, if someone can either reskill or just get in there and learn that and get out there and start practicing it, it's something that we're going to need kind of everywhere, right? There's also something I saw in there around facilities management, more focused on more of HOA environments or maybe residential, but kind of larger kind of platforms, or I shouldn't say platforms, but like campuses of buildings. And those kinds of things. There's plumbing, there is electrical, there's even appliance repair. And those kinds of things are skills that as you develop them and you become a practitioner, preferably a great practitioner, we don't want to be those folks that are like, race to the bottom, we charge less and we don't do good work. We want people doing good work, but it really keeps the world going around, whether it's at home, in an industrial park, or otherwise. And I really like that a lot of this was kind of connected to and born out of, or like your foundation to get to where this was with this exposure around like BP and like the oil spill, what led to it. That is such an interesting catastrophic event
Mhm.
in our global history. It's not just for the United States, really, um, that fostered a lot of ideas based on the learning from the mistakes.
Mhm.
I actually know one of the groups, primarily one individual that was part of the cleanup
Oh, wow.
and came in and rescued the project, brought it from a project. I think it was a projected 3.5 year project. They were already behind. His name is Mark Weeple, and they came in and turned the whole thing around and knocked it out in 6 months. Like unbelievable, right? So
Mhm.
all these things that we talk about, that I talk about on CMMS radio, like you and I were talking before, they start to overlap and converge, and they're really connected. So with skilled trades being such a hot topic, whether it's the skilled trade shortage or the fact that lately we're seeing a generational shift towards the skilled trades. And hey, I don't have to go to college. I don't need the kind of career that straps me with debt, right? For example, you went to Stanford. That is no walk in the park when we talk about the finances, let alone the
100%.
educational path.
It's arguably that arguably wasn't worth it either. I mean, it's like $250,000. I mean, it's so much money, right? And I mean, I talk about this all the time. I think the default for everyone should be the trades, and then if you really can't make the trades work, then you go to college. It should not be the other way around. Like, why is the default spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars on school when there are so many great options out there that don't require any debt, have great job security? You can make a lot of money, more money in many cases than if you go to college. Like, why is the default going to college, right? I think that's just the wrong way for the world to work.
Well, and there are a lot of folks that we both probably either know or kind of touch and see, like on LinkedIn and everywhere else, that will not only say the same thing, but they're really all about it because we've seen such a change happening, trying to happen. And you're absolutely right. I think it's kind of systematized, and we don't want to spin out on that. But getting back to how we see people joining the trades and the youth starting to gravitate towards that. I don't know if you have that visibility or not, but I wanted to ask you, are you seeing, is it really true that maybe Gen Z and the generation coming in after them are truly interested in these trades? Are you seeing that? Could you validate that?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I think on our platform, we get people of all ages, but we get a lot of young people. And I mean, honestly, the trades lend themselves to being very popular with young people because, number one, I think a lot of this generation has grown up, like especially Gen Z, with like social media and everything digital. They actually are starving for companionship. If you read a lot of articles, like malls are on the rise. A lot of teenagers these days go hang out in malls because they want places to interact with other people and have that human connection. The trades are a perfect opportunity for that and way better than an office job. A lot of millennials and Gen Z want meaning in their work and job satisfaction in the trades where you're actually accomplishing something every single day is significantly higher than in an office job. And then, I mean, yeah, lastly, this entrepreneurship, like I think everybody wants to start something these days, especially young people. And there's no better place to do that than the trades.
Yeah, I I'll tell you. So, of course, I'm a little bit older, not that old, but growing up where I'm from, there was actually a preference towards trades or things related to the trades, woodworking, manufacturing,
Mhm.
the things we would learn in high school. Like we would have shop class. It might be auto shop, it might be wood shop, it might be metal shop, it might be something like that. And there was great pride in that type of work that we can do. And one thing I've noticed throughout my life, and I've paid closer attention to it the last few years, when a tradesperson comes to do this work or you see them doing this work and you go and you talk to them, even if it's just for a few minutes, maybe you're thanking them for what they did or what they're doing. Maybe they fixed something that was impacting your residence or the office, and they are all so satisfied. That is the vibe that I get. I haven't heard any of them complain, oh, I have more work to do. It's actually more like, you know, I kind of wish I could do more of this. And they're always so satisfied that they can solve a problem, do it with their hands. They know how to use the tools. They're
Hmm.
really good at following safety protocols. I mean, the ones that are good and paying attention to it. One of my good friends, his name is Brian Bieski, and he's a heavy equipment mechanic, military background, all this stuff. And we talk about it all the time. He's so passionate about doing this great work and learned it in the field while at the same time transitioned from military into the civilian life and just got to go drive this value in his normal jobs while also continuing to do that with the heavy equipment repair. Do you plan on eventually putting in other fields for certifications other than what's there right now? Would
Yeah, yeah,
there I wanted to ask about specifically, I was interested in whether there would be something around welding. Now, I know that's something you got to do in person,
yeah.
but is there kind of a way that the online environment can kind of augment that and supplement that for people?
Yeah, I mean, so our goal is absolutely to get into eventually every single trade, right? And so we started with the HVAC just because there was a huge shortage, and we just got to start somewhere. And then kind of through HVAC, we realized there were a lot of maintenance technicians actually that were on the platform, and we realized that they want a little bit of everything, right? If you're a maintenance tech, you're thrown out in the field. Um, and we've done a lot of with residential. We're also just starting commercial as well, so working with like universities and large commercial institutions that have maintenance work. And I mean, you're just often thrown in sometimes alone as the one person to manage everything for this whole property or building or apartment. And you got to know a little bit of HVAC, a little plumbing, a little electrical, a little light construction, maybe some appliances, and either commercial kitchen or residential. And there's just like you got to figure all of it out on your own. And so
Yeah.
we got a huge influx of maintenance techs, and that kind of led us to build out plumbing and electrical and appliance repair. And yeah, eventually we definitely want to cover everything. I think there's a tremendous shortage and need for more people in all the trades. And so we just started somewhere. And so I think we're in the process of really scaling up our team and going to build, eventually want to build everything.
Yeah. No, and I think the potential is there. And one of the things we see as a practice that I kind of hope that it's coming back, and this is more, taking it away from the online environment, but this concept of shadowing, where, we might get a commercial property or even a residential property, with a lot of units or something like that, maybe student housing or at a university where you've got the more senior, so to speak, practitioners, the doers that are out there handling all this. Someone can shadow them, and then through that process, they get some hands-on experience while they tell them, "Yep, yep, yep. Oh, hang on a second," and you get
Mhm.
to build those people. So
Yeah.
your solution, in a sense, augments that. Um, what do you what do you see as kind of the time commitment and the financial commitment when it comes to, let's say there's somebody listening to this when I put this out and they're like, wow, I want to go check this out and maybe get a certification for HVAC. What kind of time commitment does that typically take, and what would they be looking at financially, just so they can compare?
Yeah, yeah, of course. And so I guess again, we're all about increasing access, right? So, traditional schools bring a tremendous amount of value. We're trying to reach those people who traditional schools don't serve, either because they can't leave the workforce for that long, or they can't afford it. And so, SkillCat, 1,500 hours of training, $10 a month. And that gives you access to our entire catalog. You can get certified in things like your EPA 608 certification and OSHA. You got a bunch of training all through the platform. And yeah, $10 a month, depending on what you're looking for. Some of the modules, like some people can just take a couple of modules, get some certificates, and then get a job. Others actually spend years on the platform where they use the platform to learn the basics, and then they get a job afterwards and then continue using the platform. And we work with a lot of companies as kind of the online part of their apprenticeship solution, where you can go through all your training and then you actually can log things you do in the field to make that part of your full experience set.
Can corporations, companies, even smaller, you know, jobber shops, I'll call them, can
Mhm.
they partner with you to leverage that for their existing employees?
Absolutely. So we see a ton of companies, right? I mean, it's you can't always hire experienced techs, especially in this world where there's such a massive shortage of people. You have to build, especially when you're growing, you have to build a pipeline and a structure that lets you bring in new people into the field, train them up and guide them, and then build your organization that way. And
Yeah.
so we work with a ton of companies that are growing quickly, and they basically use SkillCat as that apprenticeship training solution for all their new folks that they bring on. And so that's definitely a big part of our business and something we're really excited about.
Yeah, and early on I was trying to allude to it that, the idea that you have something around maintenance
Yeah.
excited me because it's kind of my wheelhouse. CMMS radio is about computerized maintenance management software where, you're doing work orders and it has applicability and it's always connected to the skilled trades
Mhm. No,
in
100%.
some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
I think maintenance definitely counts as a skill trade. I mean, it's probably the most challenging skill trade. You got to know a lot of different things, right? It's not just mechanical, it's not just electrical. Like there's like you often have to deal with plumbing, there's like so many different aspects that are involved in maintenance. It's a variety of skills required. So like I think it's actually, kind of the king of all trades. So
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you on that because I've been so closely connected to it for a very high percentage of my life. So all the little aspects of it, I get excited about it, and I love getting to showcase something new and interesting. I think it's interesting. I think it's impactful. I think it's a good resource, and I want people to know about it. And maybe somebody will see it and reach out and connect with you. Now, there's one thing that I like to always do with everybody that comes on CMMS radio,
Mhm.
and it's called the fun question segment. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions. They're called fun questions, but we'll see how you do. They're pretty easy. There's no wrong answers here.
Yeah, okay. That sounds great. Let's do it.
First one: what is your favorite music?
Oh, it's a good question. I am not as music like I always have wanted to be, have aspired to be a music snob, but I'm just not. I like everything people around me listen to. So classic rock,
Okay.
um, you know, but I'm also just like I probably listen to an embarrassing amount of just like popular music of whatever's popular like today on the radio.
Nothing
So
wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And here, me, myself, and I, you could probably tell we like a little bit of rock and roll.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
good
I love
stuff.
it.
The next fun question is: what is your favorite sport or hobby? And on the sport, it doesn't have to be one that you play, it could be one that you just like to watch and support.
Hmm. I really I mean, I really like playing like basketball. I'm not very good, but I love playing basketball with like my friends and people around. So I'll go with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Now, here's the big one.
Hmm.
You've done all this stuff, school, building businesses, all of it. What is your perspective, opinion, anything at all when it comes to the idea of work life balance?
I think it's critical. So I mean, growing up, I saw my dad had a startup and he ran companies most of his life, and I've seen a lot of adults like my dad just who had never had work life balance, and then you burn out, right? You spend your whole life working towards a goal, and even if you achieve it, I mean, then your whole life went away in that process. And so I think for me, work life balance is critical, both just to actually do well on your job, right? You need to relax, you need opportunities to take time off, but also just for your life, right? I think like even if you love work, I think it's important to be a multidimensional person. And so taking time to pursue other passions and interests. And I struggle with this a lot, right? So like unfortunately, you can ask my wife, I spend too many weekends working, but I'm trying to build more work life balance so I don't get burnt out and I have other passions and things that I actually enjoy and build.
Well, and no wrong answers because it's individual. It's nice to hear these kind of ideas and insights, and people might agree, they might disagree. We just want to get people thinking. So, what is next for you and for SkillCat?
Yeah, so we're trying to grow like crazy, right? So our vision, the ultimate vision is having millions of people on the platform where we support folks and they stay on SkillCat throughout their entire life, right? As AI changes industries, as things get more electrified, as there are change after change coming into these industries, we want to be that platform that helps you reskill and then move to that next job of the future, next industry of the future. We want to be that group that helps support you throughout that time. So yeah, so our vision is millions of people on the platform that we're helping and supporting, and I think we're in this for the long haul. So we're just a couple of years in, but we're just getting started. So
I love it. And then one other thing on that note, when it comes to the people that are involved that help you develop and deliver the coursework that
mhm,
is inside of the SkillCat platform,
mhm.
would that be something where, like a lot of the people I know that are practitioners in many of these areas, should they be reaching out to you to say, hey, how can we help you develop better coursework?
Absolutely, 100%. Please do. Like I think that's one of our biggest. I mean, that's probably the reason. That's the reason we can't grow faster than we are. Is we need people obviously who have like deep industry expertise and knowledge, right? And I think we're trying to look for ways that we can empower folks like that to even profit share and revenue share so they can be part of the platform as we grow. So 100%, if you are an instructor, if you're an expert, if you have content and you want to be involved in helping to spread that to millions of people, please reach out. I would love to have a conversation and see what we can do together.
And caveat, like I'd like to add to that if you're cool with it. And, let's not just check off a box. Let's make sure we're dealing with bona fide experts, people that have not only been in the trenches, but really understand these various fields that they might contact you about helping
Mhm.
to develop the coursework. It's not just about making money. It's really about making a difference. And then you're allowed to make as much money as you want because everybody's winning. And I talk about that stuff on CMMS radio all the time, that elusive win-win that I want us all to be a part of, like I don't know, a merry-go-round or something.
No, I love that. I honestly think that doesn't exist that much. I mean, today's day and age, you see private equity, you see, a lot of venture capital. A lot of folks are focused on the short term, which might make money for a few folks, but it's really bad for the broader world and industry. And so
Yeah.
we're all about growing more steadily, more systematically, making sure that the product is truly useful instead of just trying to grow at all costs.
Yeah. And, I think what we're going to do, we're going to continue the conversation again later because I want to learn a lot more about what you're doing. And we can't explore all of it on the podcast. I want people to just get a little bit of a taste, a little bit of a sense. I want them to investigate what you're doing, at least look into it. So for anybody out there, if you want to check out SkillCat, you're going to go to www.skillcatapp.com. So it's skillcatapp.com.
Yeah, and just skillcat.com redirects as well. We were
Good.
too poor to afford skillcat.com when we started. So
Well, there you go. You can go to skillcat.com and you'll be able to check out SkillCat. Ruchir, thank you so much for being with me here on CMMS Radio and letting us get to know a little bit about SkillCat.
absolutely, I had a blast. I want to ask you those same three questions, maybe after the show.
Okay, stay with me.
Okay.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit cmmsradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.